It's Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi on Fox as the New York Football Giants travel down to Big D and take on Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, Tom Albano, laying 10 points at home.
So I understand probably why the line is that big, because the Giants are quite banged up. I mean, we talk about Daniel Jones not having any receivers before. Well, this is now a new case. We already had no Sterling Shepard. We already had lost Kadarius Toney in that trade, even though he was nothing. Kenny Galladay, I mean, a rock could probably catch better than Kenny Galladay at this point. And now, no Wan'Dale Robinson for the rest of the year. So you have Darius Slayton, and I mean, Richie James is concussed, and I know people don't trust him anymore after him losing the punting job. So I understand why the line is long. And yeah, as much as I want the Giants to win on Thanksgiving, I do expect it's probably going to be the Cowboys to win. But I will create a little hope, like Nick Fodera did go a little crazy. I'll say Cowboys, but no cover.
Nick Fodera?
I will agree with my co-host, Mr. Tom Albano, because honestly, you're right. Danny doesn't really have anybody to throw to, and if you didn't think you needed Odell Beckham Jr. to come back riding in on a white horse like the end of Lord of the Rings, then you do now. But that's not going to happen until after this game. But what this game is the first real, honest-to-God test that this team has had. And although the Cowboys beating the Packers really doesn't amount for much anymore because, the Packers suck, but they're going to have to play their best football of the year. And I think it can be done. But with the personnel that are going to be on the field on Wednesday, I don't know, which is why I got to take the Cowboys.
Well, I mean, just to add something here, the Giants were competitive last time against the Cowboys when they competed in Week 3 and MetLife. And I'll add to what you say about tests, Nick. This is the first of 4 consecutive weeks about tests. This is the first of 4 consecutive weeks where the Giants are going to be playing divisional football. This is the time where, your 7 wins. I know we talked about earlier in the preseason special I did with you, Johnny, and you, Nick Morgasen, about, if the Giants get off to a good start, they go up to 500, are they going to get to expectations? Are the expectations too unreasonable? But the thing is, now that you got 7 wins, I mean, if you can't rattle off a couple more wins and get yourself into the playoff contention and just have a collapse, I mean, it's going to be seen as a collapse, and it is going to be seen as a disappointment.
I think the one thing I would say with that, though, to counter would be if you look at the Giants here the rest of the way, their strength of schedule is one of, if not the toughest down the stretch here. Do you realize that the combined winning percentage of their opponents down the stretch here is 678?
But that credit that is part of that is the Vikings being a one-loss team. And it also is the fact that the NFC East over the last couple of years has gone from one of the worst divisions in football quickly to one of the best divisions in football, that the NFC East and the AFC East for that matter.
I mean, by the way, ironically, getting beat to shreds by the Cowboys, the Vikings this past week. But
so two-loss team.
No, but my point is, like Nick was bringing it up before the show, like, do week by week matter in these spreads? And I'm like, no, I think it's more of what the Vegas thinks of these teams, and that's why some of these lines are so high. Originally, when I looked at this, I said I thought this line was quite high because, again, the Cowboys are damned if they do, damned if they don't. Whether you had Cooper Rush or you had Dak Prescott, whether you had your wide receivers, I think one of their wide receivers was injured also. I can't remember off the top of my head over the last couple of weeks. But after all of what you said and looking at this game, I don't know what to make of the Giants. Like, they lost to the Lions. We all agree it was a trap game, right? That the Lions game was one of those games where if they lost it, we weren't surprised. So I guess in this case, I'm going to be the one that takes the cover on this one for the Cowboys.
So you're taking okay. See, I look at this, and I think one of the reasons you look at why the line is so high, one of the reasons is Look at all the injuries the Giants have right now. I mean, they're down 4 offensive linemen. I mean, against this defense, that's going to be a big problem here. And also, I mean, Dak Prescott's history here against the Giants is also very, very good. One of the things, the Giants have been like the underdog a lot this year, but they for the most part, they've been healthy. But that's a problem here. Now you go down to Big D. I mean, I think this is a very, very challenging test here. This almost seems like Vegas is begging you to take the Giants, so I'm not going to do it, though. I think Dallas wins this one by, I'd say, 13 points possibly or more. Give me Dallas minus 10 here. And again, hopefully I'm wrong. I mean, last week I did pick the Lions to win outright in an upset special, and they did. But I think the injuries are going to start to haunt the Giants here. I'm taking Dallas to win and cover down there in Big D. Hank?
As much as I want to say the Giants will at least cover, I'd be lying if I told you that I'm optimistic. And the reason being is because the Giants are just way too depleted at injury. I would argue that losing Adoree Jackson was the biggest loss that came from that loss in Detroit, especially when you look at who the Cowboys have at receiver. And by the way, I'm going to say this too. As much as I've praised Brian Daboll all year for the great job he's done, that is one area where you have every single right to criticize him, because putting Jackson in that spot was very dangerous. And it's almost as bad as Jim Fossil's decision to put Jason Sehorn in at punt return in 98.
I do agree. And I think, it does express, however, a problem with this Giants team in that there really is no receiving depth at this stage. Then they are going to need in the offseason, regardless of if they collapse and miss the playoffs, if they get out in the wild card game, if they somehow make a deep, underdog style run, the mission of the offseason, at this point, it's now a mission more than even what the hell Danny Jones's future is you need to build up on the wide receiver core. You need receivers.
You have to give him credit on some front. By the way, I will refute Nick's point every single time he brings it up. Odell Beckham Jr. is a 0% chance for the Giants. 0%.
You say that because
it is the Odell Beckham Bowl. You could
He's
say
not going
to
be first of all, he doesn't want to be a Giant anymore. Okay, that's for a fact. He does not want to be in that uniform anymore. He either is going to end up with the Niners. The Rams are now out because they're not a competitive team. I think he could end up with the Niners. That would be a heck of a pickup if he ended up in a Niners uniform.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this could be the Odell Beckham Jr. Bowl as well down there in Dallas on Thanksgiving afternoon. But I think we're all kind of in agreement here that we think Dallas is going to win here down in Dallas.